What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I uploaded, but we're finally back with a brand new series. We're going to be using Start Today to take over the Texas Rangers as the GM and the manager. I'm really excited to be able to rebuild this team. They are 46 and 85 as of right now. Hopefully we can take this team and turn them around in a few years, but for now let's just go over how I plan to make them better for next year. Because we already have passed the trade deadline, there's not much I can do this season. Hopefully next year is when we actually start seeing improvement. But this season I do have a few goals in mind and a plan to end the season hopefully. I'm going to be using the waiver wire a lot to acquire some more talent. We are very dry in the talent pool right now. We can take a look at the pitching staff. There's not many guys here that are going to be here 2 years from now. I would say there's maybe 2-3 guys that I really think are going to be here in that time. Hopefully I'm wrong about that, but I just don't see anybody here that I love. The lineup's sort of similar. There's a lot of guys that I think I can use for 2 years, maybe 3 years if we're lucky. They have some decent bats here already. They're all pretty young. 28 I think is the max age for everybody. I really like a few guys. Nate Lowe. I like Isaiah. I like our center field or right field. I kind of like our whole outfield. Maybe not the left field as much, but that's not a huge deal for me. I like a lot of the bats here. The bats aren't going to be a huge focus for me in this first season and the second season coming up. What I really am happy with, though, is that we have a nice budget to work with. It's probably going to get knocked down a lot after this season. I wouldn't be surprised if it got knocked down almost $30 million even. But it's still a lot of money even after that. And we have a lot of salaries that we can still dump. We have this guy. He's not going to be here next season. I don't plan on bringing him back. Jose's probably going to be back. We might trade him. We'll see. He's not a bad arm. He throws hard. He is a fly ball pitcher, which I don't love, but he does have decent pitches, good stuff. We'll see with him. And then Kohei here, he's probably going to be gone as well. We're probably going to try and trade him. Same with Mike Fultonavich. We're going to try and trade him. Everyone else below that, though, not making any money at all, which is perfect. That's what we need. We don't want to lock up money to guys that aren't good. Preferably, I'd love to bring in free agents that'll help us. I know that's not necessarily what we should be doing as a rebuilding team, but I just want to be somewhat competitive. Focusing on the bullpen probably, because as the GM and the manager, I'm going to be playing a lot of these games in-game, and I like having a good bullpen whenever I am the manager, because if we go into the 5th inning with a lead, I don't want to lose the game after that point. I'd prefer our bullpen to be great from day one. Obviously, that's not going to happen since the trade deadline's already passed. But next season, I do plan on having a very, very good bullpen. Even the waiver wire is going to help us this season with that. And we're going to figure out who to keep, who not to keep. A lot of these guys probably won't keep long-term. And by long-term, I mean after the season even. But we'll see. We'll see who I like. We'll see who I don't like. Starting pitching's I'm not too worried about that. That'll come along the way, I guess, unless one of these guys proves themselves to be worthy of staying. I don't see any of them staying. Besides that, I think we're ready to just get right into this. I'm probably just going to go ahead and play a lot of the games and maybe just come back when we hear from waiver wire claims, or if anything exciting happens. We'll go over the goals real fast that our owner gave us. Our only one for this season is don't suck completely, which is going to be very hard to do considering that is already what is happening, and we don't have that many games to turn that around, or a team to turn that around, to be honest. The next upcoming goal is to increase attendance next year. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll try it. Hopefully we can get it. And then beyond that, we have 2 goals for 2024. We have acquire Gold Glove winner. That shouldn't be too hard. We'll try and do that one. Build a top 6 minor league system. We should try and do that one as well. I don't know if it's going to be well, 3 years from now, we should be able to have a top 6 minor league system. And in 2025, we have bring in more of our drafted players. And then another 2025 goal is building the team up in order to reach the playoffs. We can definitely do that. That's the goal for me as well. Beyond that, I think we're ready to just get into playing games, and I'll be back probably with some waiver wire claims that we get. Alright, here we are on September 12th. We made a few moves, a bunch of waiver wire claims, 2 free agent signings. Let's get right into the waiver wire claims. We start off with Jorge Mateo. He's a shortstop. He looks like he's going to be pretty decent. He has good speed, good stealing, good base running. I love that out of a potential leadoff hitter maybe even a second hitter or end of the lineup type of guy that can be a spark for us at that part of the lineup. He can play a lot of positions, second, short. It even says center, which is pretty interesting there. Good defender in general. That's what I like to see out of a shortstop or a utility guy. And he has a decent bat, I guess. He has good gap power. Average contact, below average home run, average avoid Ks. His eye isn't good, but he has a little bit of room to improve that, I guess. Not really to that high of an amount that I would like to see. He's been here for 3 games so far, 9 plate appearances, hasn't done anything special. Hopefully he can step up. He's also, I'll show you guys the lineup a little bit later of what I've done with it. He is in the lineup regularly as our shortstop, I believe. He's starting as our shortstop now. We've moved a few players around. But let's go to the rest of these guys. I'm pretty sure the rest of these guys are all relief pitchers. I really reinvented the entire pitching staff. It's going to look completely different from just 10, 12 days ago, whatever. First, Clay Holmes here. He was having a good year with the Yankees. Only 13 innings pitched, not a big sample size. Hopefully he can do something similar with us. So far, he hasn't. 6 2/3 innings, an 8.1 ERA is not good, but hopefully he can step up, get a little bit better at the end of the season. Next, we have JT. I don't know how to say his last name, but I'm just going to call him JT. He's a 30-year-old relief pitcher. Nothing too special about him. I just want him to come in and be a little bit better than the other guys that we potentially could have had. He was having a good year with Seattle. We'll see how it goes the rest of the year with us. He hasn't been great, but we'll just move on from that right now. Next, we have Tim Meza. He's probably been the only guy that's transitioned to actually be good with us so far. He was doing good with Toronto. Came here in 5 2/3 innings. He's done good. He's probably been the best one so far. And he's actually a 3.5 star now as a relief pitcher, which is really good. He's 29. He's probably going to be in his 30s. I wouldn't mind bringing him back. He's a good little piece. I believe he's a lefty too, which is kind of hard to find at such a cheap price. The next thing we have is Brock Holt actually got claimed by the Colorado Rockies off of waivers. I don't really care about that. He wasn't going to play with us. He was probably honestly going to get cut anyway. So I'm fine with him just leaving that way. That saves me a lot of stress and issues there. So that's fine with me. Next we claim Amir Garrett. He was the worst player we claimed, but I think he still has potential. You know, he throws hard. He has some good pitches, good stuff. His ERA hasn't been good at all for our team, for the last team he played for. We'll see if he's here next year. I just wanted to give him a chance. Some new scenery, hopefully, that he would step up and have a better year, but so far hasn't really. Hopefully that changes. Our last waiver claim is Luis Garcia here. He's very old, but like I said, I just want a good bullpen. That's all I want whenever I'm playing these games. He throws hard, extreme ground ball pitcher, decent pitches, above average in all of them, nothing great. He hasn't been good for us at all. No one's really stepped up and been good. Small sample size, but I think it says a lot that they've came in and not really put up the numbers that I hoped they would. Hopefully they get better. But next we'll move on to a few contract extensions actually from other teams. Chris Bryant signs an extension, 162 over 7 years. That's big money for him. And then Kenley Jansen goes and signs a almost $16 million year, or $16 million deal for over 2 years. Not big money. It's respectable for him. But here's our free agent signing, Francis Martez. Apparently he's a big prospect back in the day. Didn't really perform in, it looks like 2017 with Houston. I've never heard of him. He looks like he's been playing in minor league. the minor leagues a few times. I don't know where he's been, what he's been doing, but he looks pretty good. 3 good pitches, good stuff, decent control, decent movement. For a starting pitcher, it's not great, but worst case scenario, we put him in as a reliever, and he's going to do really good. He throws 96, 98. He's a power pitcher. He's a neutral ground ball, fly ball kind of guy. I think he could be really good. 50 stamina. I prefer it to be a little bit higher than that, but that's fine. We did have to give him somewhat of a big contract. Everyone wanted him. He kept saying someone else was offering him more money, so I finally went out and I decided I'm going to offer him $5 million a year, with the second year being a team option. I don't think it's a bad deal for us at all. Worst case scenario, he doesn't perform well for us, and we just don't sign him back. It's a $500,000 loss for the 2022 season, and that's it. The best case scenario, he's a 25-year-old starting pitcher that has really, really good stuff. That could be a really good piece for us. He immediately goes into our starting rotation as probably the second or third best pitcher, assuming he performs average. Our pitching has not been good. We'll take a look at the rotation now. We have John King, Jordan Lyles, Colby Allard, Dane Dunning's back from injury. Hopefully he can perform well for us. And then Francis Martez right here, and he's actually going to pitch the next game, which I'm excited to watch. And then we move on to our bullpen, which completely reinvented. The only guys I think that are from our team is Joe Barlow, Justin Anderson, DeMarcus Evans, Spencer Patton, and I believe that's it from our original starting roster. We only kept 4 guys. I moved Joe Barlow to the closing position. I just think that's where he would work best. He has good stuff, good pitches. He's 25, so he has room to really get into the closing role once we start actually contending. I think he still has potential in him, in my opinion. He throws hard. The extreme fly ball worries me a little bit, but he was just the best candidate, in my opinion, for the closing position. Then we have 2 setup guys. I don't really like Amir Garrett here, but I wanted to give him a chance. I think I might move him to the middle relief here soon. But Justin Anderson I do like. He has good stuff. He was in our minors, I'm pretty sure. Very similar to our closer, fly ball pitcher. He throws hard. Good 2 pitches. He's only pitched in 1 2/3 innings, but he hasn't given up a run yet. He also hasn't struck out a batter yet. There's still a lot out. The jury's still out on him with whether or not he's going to be good. We have plenty of guys down here, though, that can easily step up in that setup role and be very good. DeMarcus Evans, I think I want to keep him in that middle relief role. He's still young. He has potential. He throws hard. I like him a lot as a relief pitcher. He could easily one day be our closer. At worst setup, maybe. Next, we have Spencer Patton, who I believe started out as our closer whenever I first loaded into this game. He was having a decent year. I just don't like a 92 to 94 mile per hour pitcher being our closer or even setup. I'd prefer that as our middle relief, which is where he's at right now. Next, we have JT as a middle relief. Nothing more. I really said everything I needed to say about him. Same with Tim and Luis here. They're just in the middle relief right now. I think it really shores up the bullpen. And then we have Clay Holmes, long relief. He just had the most stamina of all of these guys, so he automatically slots in here as the long relief guy. We'll see how this bullpen does to end of the year. I know we don't have that much time left to really see who I like and who I don't like, but we'll hopefully get a general grasp on who's going to be here next year and who's not. Worst case, this is our bullpen next year, and it's a decent one at that. It's not a bad bullpen. That's not as bad as it was when I first loaded into this game. So hopefully it can just improve and be average at worst next year. We'll go to the lineup next, though. I had a lineup in mind. It's mostly the same lineup as what I had 10 days ago before we even made any claims. We didn't really add too many people. Some guys came back from injury. Charlie Culberson's back from injury. We also went ahead and I also signed one more player. I'm not sure if you noticed him yet. We signed Cespedes. I didn't have it on the email thing because he was one of the first players that signed with us. And he's actually been doing pretty good. 8 games, 26 at-bats. He's batting .385 with a .448 on base. He already hit a home run, 9 RBIs in those 8 games. He's been on fire as the fire symbols here. He's on a hot streak. He could be really good for us if he could, stay in that for the rest of the year. Maybe even be here next year. I'm pretty sure, yeah, we signed him with a team option for next year. I really just brought him in because I know he's a popular player. He has moments for sure. So hopefully he can keep it up. I really like the signing. I'm glad he signed with us. The lineup's looking. I like the lineup. They're not performing like I want them to, but I really like everybody in this lineup. I'd be pretty content just to keep this lineup the way it is next season. Probably not going to happen just because we have money. I want to make moves, but I like this team a lot. I like a lot of our guys. They're all, for the most part, young. They have potential still. They have room to grow. So I'm happy with that. Probably the next time I'll be back is the end of the season. We'll go over playoffs. We'll go over who wins the World Series. And we'll go over our plans for the offseason once we get there. Alright, here we are at the regular season, October 5th, beginning of the playoffs. We finished the season 60 and 102. I was really hoping we could avoid the 100-loss season, but we couldn't. We did have a really good end to the regular season from the last time I checked in with you guys. Let's take a look at the team schedule. In September, right after September 12th, we actually did really, really good. If you look, that's a lot of wins here against some really good teams. We win the series against Houston 3-1. We did really good. I implemented some new strategy. I definitely kicked up the base stealing and the base running aggressiveness a lot. I'm hoping that was the main reason why we were able to do it. Our pitching definitely was a help. If you notice, a lot of these are 2 runs against and 1 run against and 3 runs against and 4 runs against, which is the goal, 4 and less. And then we lose the series right here to the White Sox. 1 win. They got 2 wins. We lost the series, but we won a game against the White Sox. They're a very good team. Same with the Astros. And then here against the Yankees, we sweep them. They're a very good team as well. Very happy with that. And then we take care of business against the Orioles. They're on the same level as us. They're one of the worst teams in baseball, but we win the series. We win 3 of 4 games here. We do, however, lose the series to the Angels here, but we did get a win at least. Our runs just we couldn't put runs on the board against them, I guess. And then in October, we lose this series as well, but we do end 12-10, I believe, in that stretch. So I'm really happy with that. Positive record there, beating some really good teams. Right now, before we go ahead and get to the World Series winner eventually, I'm going to show you guys all the stats, go over some off-season goals and plans and everything like that. First, I want to start with our free agent signing, Francis Martez. As you can see, 2.7 for ERA, 23 innings pitched in 4 games. Now, it's only 4 games, obviously, but he was, I would say, honestly, it was amazing. I watched his first game. In the first inning, his first pitch, he gives up a home run, I believe. It wasn't good. He gives up 3 earned runs in the first inning he pitches, and then gives up 1 earned run outside of that in that game for a total of 4 earned runs and I believe 6 innings. We'll take a look at the game log. Yeah, 6 innings, 4 earned runs, 6 strikeouts. I was happy with that performance. Honestly, it's not bad at all. 4 earned runs in 6 innings. I'll definitely take that. But then the next game comes out and goes 5 1/3 for 3 earned runs, which I thought was fine. That's an improvement. But then here is where he showed he's really, really gonna hopefully be good for us. 6 1/3 innings against the Orioles, which it is the Orioles, so take that with how you will, 7 strikeouts though, I'm happy with that. No home runs, which is what I'd like to see. Obviously, with the no earned runs, there's no home runs. And then against the Angels, a little bit better of a team. He still gives up the no earned runs in 5 1/3, 7 strikeouts. I was really happy with that. So he ends the season with a 2.74 ERA in 4 games. He's definitely going to be back next year. I'm definitely accepting that team option. I'm really excited for him to grow with us, hopefully. He still has that potential, as you can see. Even OSA isn't saying he has the potential there, but our scout is, and I hope that is true. I really like him. I think he's going to be here for at least next year, hopefully beyond that. He's only 25, so he has a lot of room. John King ends the season with a 3.49 ERA, 10-6 record. Not too much to say about him. He's 27, so he's going to be here. I think he's definitely going to be a part of the rotation next year for sure. You know, if you look at his FIP, 2.89, FIP minus, it's 62. That's really, really good. I'm really, really happy with that. I think as long as he stays healthy, he's going to be a really good piece for this rotation. Arihara came back, and he didn't really do much. Jordan Lyles wasn't great this year. He's going to be gone, though, with that, I believe that's $7 million contract. Yeah, his contract expires, so we don't have to pay him next year, so he's going to be gone. And then Dane Dunning didn't really come back from injury and perform how I wanted him to. He's going to be back next year in the rotation, hopefully. I think he can definitely have a bounce back year next year. I hope he does. Next, we'll get into the bullpen. We'll start with just all of these relief guys right here. We'll clump the middle relief and long relief into one. I think they all show that they're capable of being really good pitchers for us next year, especially these bottom four: Spencer Patton down to Luis Garcia, all sub-4 ERAs, 3-point something ERAs. I like that for my middle relief guys. Just have a decent performance when you go out there. I want you to be able to go out there and put up 0 earned runs sometimes, maybe some more than other. We'll see. None of these guys I expect to be elite. This is exactly what I expected, so I'm glad that they came back down to where I expected. DeMarcus Evans, he's still young, 4.42 ERA. I'm not mad at that necessarily. We'll take a deeper look. You know, it's FIP minus 91, you know, so you can take that how you want. I mean, 47 strikeouts, 38 innings. There's not much to say there. He has a lot of room to grow. I don't really have too much to say. Amir Garrett, he did not perform how I wanted him to. 9 innings, 8 ERA, you know, 15 strikeouts in 9 innings. That's fine with me, but he just gave it too many earned runs. He's probably not going to be back, honestly, unless we absolutely need him to. Clay Holmes, 4.54 ERA. He didn't perform how I wanted him to when we brought him in. He might have been a little unlucky with us, it looks like. He did have a FIP at 4.09, and before that, obviously, with New York, he was doing pretty good. So he might be back. He's 28. He'll probably be back with us. I'm not going to take the rest of the season with us to heart, really. But these top 2 guys up here, they performed amazing for me. From when I took over till now, they've done amazing. Justin Anderson especially, giving up 0 earned runs in the 11 innings he's pitched. Obviously, small sample size once again, just like with everybody here. But he's done good. 16 strikeouts, 11 1/3 innings, no earned runs. You can't complain about that. And then we go to Joe Barlow, our closer, from whenever I took over, 25 innings. And he has an ERA at .7, 29 strikeouts in 25 innings. I really like him. He's not relying on the strikeouts really as much either, just from that right there. So I'm really happy with what he provided for us in that closing role. I think he's going to stay there, honestly. We'll see who we get in the offseason, but he's probably going to be our closer. And Justin Anderson, I think he earned that setup role. Like I said though, we'll see who we get in the offseason. That'll really determine who we decide is going to be our setup guy, who's going to be our closer, our number 1 starter, all that stuff like that. Next, we'll move on to the lineup. It was a little up and down. We'll start with our catchers. Jose here, he was really just more of a defensive guy for me. That's the only reason he played a lot. I didn't expect his bat to be anything. He could have hit 150 and he still would have started at catcher because of that defense. I just think that's more important than having a guy that might hit, you know, a little bit better. There's really no point in the little bit that you get on the offense that you could instead have at defense. So that's why I've had him starting to end of the year, and he's probably going to be back next year, at least as a backup catcher. Next, we move on to arguably our best hitter. You could argue it's Garcia, but in my opinion, Nate Lowe is just the most consistent hitter for us. 260 average, 347 on base, OPS plus at 113. I like to see that. Over 2 WAR, I like that too. He just hits good. I like a first baseman that's just consistent. I prefer it to be a little bit more consistent than this, but for now, this is definitely going to work for us. Next, we go to second base. Probably the position I want to upgrade the most this offseason. Solak just was not good. A 92 OPS plus, 311 on base isn't good. He doesn't really hit too many home runs, only 15. I definitely want to upgrade that in the offseason. Then we can sort of clump together all three of these guys, Isaiah, Jorge, and Anderson. None of them really hit great. Jorge, 271 batting average, but only 308 on base. And then on base of 287 and 274 respectively for Isaiah and Anderson is just not cutting it. But one thing I do like is that they steal bases. Anderson only had 4 stolen bases and got caught 4 times, which is a little surprising because he does have some speed. I believe, yeah, he has plenty of speed. I don't know why it's such a little amount, but hopefully that gets better next year. But these guys, 18 and 14 stolen bases respectively. I like that. The base running makes up for the lack of a bat occasionally. I just don't think it's going to be a long-term fix for us. We need better bats there. Maybe next season it's fine, but the year after that, I don't think we can compete with our our left side of the infield, and even a DH because Anderson was DHing for us most of the year. It's just not a good recipe for winning games. Next we have Cespedes, who started out hot, didn't finish hot, did finish with a positive OPS, above average OPS plus. His on base 283, I don't like that, but he did hit 5 home runs in 27 games, 21 RBIs. He's probably not going to be back next year, if we're being honest. He's just too old, and I just don't see him getting better. We do need another left fielder. I think that's a position that we're going to look to upgrade. Next, move on to center field. His OPS plus, about average, 1 point less than average. He gets on base, 322 on base. Isn't great, isn't bad. I can't really complain about that. 5 home runs, only 13 RBIs in 51 games. He did lead off for us though, so the RBIs you can argue don't really matter, but 21 stolen bases is what I like. The 1 ERA shows that he's a positive player. Defensively, I'm pretty sure he's pretty good, especially in center field. That's a hard position to get a good player at. So I think, and he's definitely a building block for us. 3.5 potential, it says. He's going to have a decent bat. That contact still has plenty of potential. The eye has plenty of potential. The home run even has some potential. I think he could be really, really, really good for us. He's only 23. He only just turned 23 a month ago. So he's definitely a piece that's going to be here for a long time, in my opinion. Hopefully he can be the leadoff guy for us for a long time as well. And then we move on to our other best hitter, Garcia. 34 home runs, 92 RBIs, speaks for itself. On base, I'd love to be a lot higher than that, though, from a guy like this. If we're being honest, we'll start moving into the offseason plans right now. He might be a piece that gets moved if he has value. If he has the value, he's probably going to get moved. If we can get, a decent starter and a prospect maybe in return, something like that. We'll see what the packages hold, but if he has value, he's going to get traded. He just doesn't provide for me what I want out of a right fielder. I think a right fielder should get on base more. The home runs is exactly where I want it. The RBIs probably would have been higher if he was on a better team and he had more guys hitting in front of him, getting on base. But he also strikes out a lot. 200 strikeouts is a lot when you compare it to someone like Nate Lowe at 171, who had, the same number of plate appearances almost, and he struck out less. I just prefer him to strike out less, get on base more, walk more even, just be better in general. He did have 13 stolen bases though, which is pretty good. But I would love to get him, trade him for someone a little bit different in the offseason. I'm not going to go over any of the bench guys except one guy right here, James Jones. He was a relief pitcher, I believe, for us whenever I took over, and then I saw he had decent contact, and he has really good speed. We'll go into that real fast. Good speed, good stealing, good base running. His outfield arm looks great. He looks like he's a really good player. He is 33, though. Unfortunately, if he was 25, he'd be a bigger piece to this team, but I just don't see him coming back next year and being on this roster once I upgrade it. His bat just isn't good enough either. He's a good pinch runner, I guess, but beyond that, he's not really what I want from one of our roster spots. We have a lot of prospects. We'll go ahead and look at that. I don't think any of them are going to come up next year. Maybe this guy will with his home run power, but I just don't know if he's even a piece long term for us. I know he's really good, but I just don't know if he's going to turn into something in this game. We'll see how he does, but for now, he's going to be in AAA next year. Colby Allard, I sent him down. He wasn't performing how I wanted him to, so I just sent him down, and we had the other starting pitching options that we could bring up. And in AAA, in one game, he pitched 7 2/3 innings, and 2.35 ERA. I believe, I'm not sure how many runs that is in the game. Is it 3 maybe? We'll see real fast. It's 2. So he gave it 2 earned runs in 7 2/3 innings, 8 strikeouts. So he did good in AAA. I know he has potential, and he definitely could be in the rotation to start next year. But I'm not sure long term if he's a real option for us. Next, we go down to Spencer Howard. I really like him. I think he could be a part of our rotation in the future. He throws hard. He has good pitches. He just needs to increase this a little bit. And he's 25. I don't know if he has the time really to go ahead and do all of that. In AAA this year with us, he hasn't really pitched great. He didn't really pitch good with Philadelphia either. So we'll see, I guess, how he does next season. But for now, I'm really not that high on him. I think he definitely has potential to be really, really good. But it's just whether or not he performs in this game or not. That'll decide whether or not he's actually ever going to make it on our roster. And then I believe it's just 2 more guys that I want to look at. Josh Jung here, third base. He has a bat that I think could work really well in the majors. Defense isn't all that great, but it's enough to get by. In AAA, he hit 291, 330 on base, OPS plus at 101, slightly above average. He doesn't really hit home runs that much in AAA, at least. Three home runs in 21 games isn't bad, but it's not anything special either. And then we move on to the most recent top pick, Jack Leiter. He, in this game, I'm not sure if he's ever going to turn into anything. Our scout's saying he's going to be worse than what OSA thinks. He still could be really, really good as a starter for sure. In high A ball, he pitched to a 3 ERA in 5 games, which isn't bad. Not bad at all. 32 strikeouts in 27 innings. He has a long time to go before he's tested in the majors, but we'll see how it goes. We have a lot of guys down here. That's 4 right off the bat, guys that I think are good prospects for us. Whether or not they're going to play for us in the future or for someone else, we'll see. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and simulate to the World Series so we can see who wins it, and then we'll probably end the video there. And here we have the 2021 World Series champion, Milwaukee Brewers. They beat a lot of tough teams. They sweep the Braves. They beat the Dodgers in 6 games, and they beat the Astros in 5 games. This just shows that pitching is very important in baseball. They beat the best team in baseball, the Dodgers, and they didn't even have to try that hard to win the World Series. They only lose 1 game to the Astros. They only lost 3 games the entire playoffs. Their pitching was great. Right here, I'll show you something. Corbin Burns actually threw a no-hitter against the Dodgers of all teams in a very close game. It was a 1-0 victory. So that just shows that he was very valuable. I wouldn't be surprised if he won MVP in the World Series. I know he pitched good in the World Series as well. But that's going to do it for this episode. We made a lot of moves this episode. Even though we didn't have trades available or free agency really available, we did make a lot of moves through the waiver wire. Hopefully next episode we can make this team at least a 500 team. Hopefully we can get some exciting pieces to build around. I'm really excited to get this team back into contention. We have a lot of work to do still, though, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the offseason. That's going to do it, though. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next episode.